Awesome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm super excited that you're here. It's Nikki Elsing, dietitian, and Joanne Shearer, Parkin, dietitian. And today's the kickoff to our belly fat battle. And we are excited to share some details, give you a little more how-tos, things that you can hopefully today just hit the road running to get rid of those inches, right? And today, Joanne's going to talk a little bit about the Mediterranean diet. I've gotten a few notes of people saying, this is kind of freaking me out a little bit, but don't worry, we'll make it nice and simple. And there'll be kind of different ways that you can adapt it, being beginner or more advanced. And we are excited to share some details, give you a little more how-tos, things that you can hopefully today just hit the road running to get rid of those inches, right? And sorry, I didn't get that done beforehand, and it's replaying the stuff on the Facebook Live on her, thing there. But so we're gonna have little versions of just kind of beginner, like I'm trying to figure this out, but I don't know how good I'm gonna be, to I am all in and I'm maxing out and I want to try every different thing that we can think of. And we're so lucky to have Joanne. Joanne's been talking about the Mediterranean diet for a very, very, very long time. And she has ways to be able to make it so that it's adaptable to everything that you're doing in your daily life. And so that's a really nice way to be able to keep in mind. But she also has those advanced features. I hear Jim, I feel like, in the background. Jim's been kind of a stinker on these lately.
Just when we thought we had all the, all the technology stuff figured out.
I know.
Isn't this
so? We're going to start with Joanne going through the Mediterranean diet, giving you a few what's, right? Hopefully you guys all measured your waist. If you haven't, get it done and then send it to whoever invited you into this group and say, done. You keep the number confidential and you keep it hidden away wherever you want to put it, or stick it on the fridge or whatever makes you happy. I don't care. But just tell us done. We don't need to know the details. But get that finished, and we'll start with Joanne, and then I'll go through a little list for you that I'll post later and to get you guys on your running start. So Joanne, take it away.
Oh, I'll take it away. Okay, you bet, Nikki. So again, thank you, everybody. I'm super excited about you coming and joining us on this venture and this journey with us. I think we gave you a little introduction on Biohacking to a Better Life, a Facebook page about why we're doing this. And I think because, again, just to review, Nikki and I over the years, and especially the years that we worked as specialists in cardiovascular nutrition, and I was a specialist in diabetes as well, and a certified diabetes educator for 15 years. And of course, worked with both with chronic disease management, worked in employee wellness programs, of just kind of, the gamut. But I think the one thing that we learned over all those years, and it's certainly one thing that really did concern me, was the increasing girth of the American population. And so what I did learn through all those years is it's just not how much you weigh, but it's where you carry your weight. And so that's why I think that we're so passionate about really bringing this program to everybody, is to really talk about that and talk about the health risks associated with that and what you can do about it. We hope we can bring you some really great practical advice and education. We're going to cover the gamut. We'll do everything from, we're talking about, diet, nutrition, shopping, menus, recipes. We'll be talking about fitness. We'll be talking about mindset, motivation, setting goals. We'll be talking about also about natural products. And, what are some natural products out there that you can incorporate to support your new venture, your new lifestyle? And that's what we're going to be talking about. And what we're planning to bring you is, like I said, Nikki said, simple, practical advice, because we know that managing your weight, managing your health, this is not a temporary thing. I mean, it's not like you go on a diet, right? And then you go off the diet kind of concept. That's not what we're talking about here. We're just talking about bringing you some simple lifestyle changes that we feel you can make and incorporate in your daily lives and do it now. And we're going to do that through this Facebook page, right? We're going to be bringing you a lot of content and a lot of education. And like Nikki said, we thought one thing that you could measure and track and would be the focus and would be an achievable goal. So, right? Lose those 2 inches of belly fat off your waist over the next 60 days. Now, we think that, most of you can do that. And I just want to say that this is not just for people who need to, maybe you're doing pretty good with there. But again, I think that, as far as your belly fat, but think about the education and everything, what you're going to be learning is going to be helping you to prevent that as well, right? Because as you get older, because, we know that it tends to it starts accumulating quite easily and quickly right there around the middle. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start out by talking to you. And Nikki, if you can just give me the controls I'll be able to share my screen. I'll do that, okay? So, yep, I can do that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you, I've got just a little bit of slides and some visuals for you all, where you can, the Mediterranean diet. And I'm really super excited about talking about the Mediterranean diet. So let me get this going here for you. So the Mediterranean diet is really the nutrition plan. And I don't really want to talk about being really a diet, because when people think of diet, they think about going on a diet or off a diet. So I really, when you're talking about Mediterranean diet, I'm talking about a way of eating, a dietary pattern, and this is really what we're talking about. And so why the Mediterranean diet? Well, because it is really the best diet for overall health that has been validated by, literally, there are literally thousands of studies on the Mediterranean diet. And the fact is that this is a traditional dietary plan, style of eating that has been proven to lower the risk of every chronic disease out there. You think about it, just about all 200 of them or more. And what is so special about the Mediterranean diet? It's something about the combination the nutrients in this diet that creates this amazing synergy that helps to lower oxidative stress, lower inflammation, help you with detoxifying your cells, helps you with your weight management, helps to reduce those, creaky arthritic joints and that kind of thing. So that's why this diet is so potent, not just for once you get a chronic disease and beneficial, but also for prevention. And it's also the best NRF2 activator diet. You're going to learn more about NRF2 activation as we go through the next few weeks. As you journey along with us, we'll be talking more about that and how NRF2 activation lowers that oxidative stress, lowers that inflammation, which really is at the root cause of so many of our health problems that we see today. So what is it that makes up that Mediterranean diet? And you can see on the screen there, it's fish and fish oils, extra virgin olive oil, loaded up with vegetables, fruits, fresh foods, tomatoes and tomato sauces, of course, fresh herbs, parsley, and spices. Okay, that's a big component of the diet. Some dairy in there, but mostly yogurt and cheese, dried beans and lentils, some whole grains, and red wine with meals. Now, when people think Mediterranean diet, some people think, aha, pizza, yeah, plates full of spaghetti. But that's really not the traditional Mediterranean diet. That's more of the American thinking about a Mediterranean diet. So what I'm going to do is, let me show you this real quick, and then I'm going to take you on a little photo journal. But the Mediterranean diet, and this is a Mediterranean diet pyramid that comes from a website and an organization called the Old Ways Foundation. And the Old Ways Foundation, and you can go to their website, oldwaysspt.org. And they produce some really great materials, education about traditional diets, not just the Mediterranean diet, but others as well. And they design and develop this pyramid. And when I was working as a head dietitian at the Very Heart Hospital in 2000, I decided that I wanted to bring that diet into the hospital. Well, of course, in the Midwest, I thought, man, that's going to be a hard sell, right? Mediterranean diet, farmers, 70% of our patients at the hospital are farmers. So I thought, well, how am I going to sell this diet to the farmers, So what I did was I combined the best of the Mediterranean diet with the best of the West, the prairie diet, the diet of the farmers. And I called it Prairie Mediterranean, designed my own eating guide, because there wasn't anything out there. We didn't have this diet pyramid. This hadn't been developed yet. And so Nikki and I, Nikki, of course, worked for me at the time. We designed and developed programs to teach this to our patients. And I think it was really super successful. And so now we do have this pyramid, and I think it's really great. I love how they start out by the foundation of it being physically active and enjoying your meals with others. And this is one thing with our culture that's different from a lot of other cultures, is that our meals are just on the go and running, and we're grabbing food here and there. Whereas in the traditional Mediterranean part of the world, people slow down, they enjoy their meals, they have a real dinner table conversations, right? So I love that part of this pyramid, talking about the importance of the culture and family. And then as you move on up, you can see, don't you see that the foundation really is all those fresh foods? Really, that's the foundation of this diet. Fresh foods, fruits, vegetables, olive oil, see some whole grains in there, some beans, lentils, herbs, spices. And as you move on up, the primary on the protein foods, you see fish and seafood. As you move on up, you'll see that you choose eggs, poultry, cheese and yogurt, and then meats and sweets are up at the top. And then of course, very traditional to have wine with meals, and then they drink lots of water. So kind of gives you a really good view of what is the Mediterranean diet. So my experience with the Mediterranean diet is that Jim and I went on a food and culinary tour that was sponsored by Old Ways. And this is really exciting. What they do is that twice a year, they take you to different parts of the Mediterranean world, and they teach you all about the Mediterranean diet. We attended cooking classes, we visited wineries, we learned all about the culture and the food. And one thing that we really enjoyed was going to the fresh food markets in Sicily. So we spent a week in Sicily, went to the fresh food markets, and just visiting those markets, we learned so much about the Mediterranean diet. We really enjoyed it. Jim's a professional photographer, so he took some photos of some of the scenes from these fresh markets. And what we saw was, you see the seafood here? Fish, more fish, every kind of seafood you could imagine, fish and more fish. And this one, of course, this fish market also had the fishmonger who also sang and entertained us. So that's one thing too about the culture is the food, that the people also have such wonderful, joyful spirits. And you might say, and you might be thinking, oh yes, but I live in South Dakota. We don't have a fresh seafood market like that. So how am I going to eat seafood? Well, our stores now, all over the country now, you can buy frozen seafood that is actually quite delicious, great quality. I live in Arizona. I don't really purchase and buy fresh seafood for the most part. I buy frozen. And it's really interesting, I have a little story about this, because I remember when I was at the Heart Hospital and I was talking to my wholesale grocer, and I said, hey, I want to have fresh salmon on the menu for our patients every week. I want them just to enjoy that wholesomeness of that, that's wild caught fresh salmon. And my wholesaler said, well, living here in South Dakota, it's pretty hard to really get that fresh salmon here fresh. He said, actually, frozen is better. He said, because they catch the salmon, it's flash frozen and processed right on the boat. It's actually even probably fresher to buy frozen. I'm like, I never thought about that. So that's what I suggest you do, is you go look at your frozen food section of your markets and look for, your frozen fish. I buy wild caught Alaskan salmon frozen. I buy a wild cod. I buy orange roughy, mahi. I buy all of those in my, big box stores that I go to primarily, and find some delicious seafood. The other thing in these markets that I just was overwhelmed by the beauty and of course the freshness of their fruit, their vegetables. It was amazing. And so here's just a few photos of their vegetables, and then the fruits. You can see, we'll get there. the oranges, the citrus, where the tomatoes, olives, as you can see here, olives and olive oils, a big part of the diet. And, further down, you'll see that there's all kinds of different lentils, and then there's nuts and seeds are huge. And then, of course, you get into the whole grains as well. Spices galore, just amazing. Here you see all the different spices. Probably maybe our health department might have a little, heartburn, the way that they were displaying this, but this is really commonly what you see in, at least in Sicily. Again, you'll see nuts and seeds and olive oil, just a huge component as well of the Mediterranean diet. So I am going to stop sharing there. And that's the end of my little slide program on the Mediterranean diet. So that was my purpose today, was to give you an overview and an introduction, and hope as we journey along in the next 8 weeks. In fact, this week, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite fish recipes, because as I said, fish is such a big component of the Mediterranean diet. And I've developed some great recipes that I'll be sharing with you over this week particularly. In fact, that is going to be our focus this week. So, right, Nikki, each week we're going to have a different focus. Every week, something that will give you some little assignments. And so this week we would like you to try a new fish recipe this week, right? Your assignment is to go and look in your frozen food section of your markets and see what kind of fish is there. You can buy fresh, of course you can. If you can really find some great fresh fish, that's awesome. So that's your assignment this week. Anything else that I miss about that, Nikki?
Oh my gosh, Joanne, that was so good. Thank you so much. And I love the little tour, and I agree with the health department issues, but you know what? I love how pretty it looks, and it's amazing. And I love that just freedom of everything just out in that market to be able to choose what you like.
Awesome. It was great. Yes.
And now Joanne calls it, looking and focusing on the fish. And I call it, we're going to take a peek into her life, because she has all these little secrets that she does that are just natural daily occurrences to her that are definitely not always my daily occurrences. And I want to get better, which is why we're all on here too, right? We all want to get better. And if the idea of trying fish today makes you go, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that, which maybe it will, that's okay, because we're going to take a peek at all she's doing, and she's going to walk us through some ideas to make that fish taste good, and to have some different ideas that you'll really like. And this might be your absolute favorite thing. So bear with us.
Yes.
But we're excited. And I think, looking at it, sometimes the Mediterranean diet seems like a big achievement, but honestly, when it's broken down, like Joanne mentioned, and we'll post some of those pictures that she had of that pyramid, it's just whole food. It's not all about leaving things out, it's including the good stuff. So let me share my screen here, and we'll wrap up here real quick.
Do I need to give you the controls? Oh, you have the controls.
I already stole them from you.
You stole them from me. Okay, good girl.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Can you enlarge it a little bit? Get it a little bigger?
I can try, sure. How's that?
There we go. That's good.
So we're going to focus on stepping away from the belly bulge. I have all these little weird things that I've come up with this belly thing, because it kind of cracks me up, because it's kind of a pain in the neck. I know I'm not necessarily happy with mine. And if I can give it a few nicknames, it makes me happier. So let's think about some action steps to get you guys started on your path to success. So number one, first of all, is why in the world do you want to do this? Like, what's the reason? What's your goal? And then also at the same time, thinking about what might get in your way. Because when we know that there might be this obstacle coming along, whether it's family or events or grocery shopping, or maybe it's the fish thing, I don't know. If you can get an active plan and kind of go, I know that's probably going to be tough for me, then you can kind of think about ideas on how to get past it. The other thing that Joanne and I are excited to talk about is that there's going to be a speaker this week who's going to talk to you about goal setting and figuring out how to set those goals and what you can do to make those happen for you. And so make sure you watch for that. Number 2 is get active. That's at bottom of that pyramid. Remember, it's walking, biking, anything you like just to get yourself moving. And Joanne shot out a little idea on 10 miles every week. And I think that's awesome. So whatever it is you like to do, just make it a focus and try to be more active. And if you get to 10 miles, brag about it, like throw it all over the group and let us know how well you're doing. Number 3 is making sure that you have that protein at your meals, right? And sometimes we forget protein and sometimes we forget vegetables. So I wrote both of these in there. So breakfast needs to always have a protein, and lunch and supper, always make sure you have a protein and some vegetables there. And I'll have a little meal planning guide as I scooch down here a little bit further. Now, this next one might be kind of tough, but we're going for goals, right? And we're going for good achievements. We want you to try to stop at supper. Sometimes after supper, that's when everything goes downhill, where we just keep eating, especially now when we're all home and maybe not doing as many things. Let's just try to ditch that mindless snacking. Obviously, if you're on medication, that means that you have to have a snack or something later on in the evening, then by all means do that. But think about it. How much of your time is spent having those snacks at night? The other thing is, I can tell you 100%, if I have on number 5, if I have a pan of those peanut butter Rice Krispie bars with the chocolate on top, I will be in that pan the entire time and I will have no reason, right? I'm not hungry. I'm just eating it because it's there. So what are your things that are very, very tempting to you? Move them, hide them, give them away. Don't make them. Just let them be kind of a special thing every once in a while, or make a half a batch and give some to the neighbor, whatever. Just don't have it around so much. And then also remember what you're drinking. Sometimes that's an easy thing that people forget. Obviously, we want to promote that water. I love that Joanne promoted the wine with your meals. We can all like a little bit of a wine every once in a while. I like to have my water in here. And I have ice in there, and I like it cold with a straw because I drink a whole lot more. We talk a little bit about Axio on here. We'll talk more about that later too. Just kind of pay attention so you know what things you're drinking as well. And then make a plan. I just ordered my groceries this morning, and I have an idea of what I'm going to do for the next week, right? And I order accordingly. And guess what's always in there? I always have lean protein. I always have fresh veggies, because my favorite is to roast them with some olive oil and throw them in the oven, and we'll teach you how to do that. But I can't do it if they're not here, right? And so I added a bunch of that stuff into my cart, and it's just so good, and it keeps me full. So I'm not eating the other stuff. Makes sense? So you're looking for wholesome foods that are less processed. So here's the little meal plan outline. Here's your breakfast, some ideas. Obviously there can be more. I was just kind of trying to brainstorm and throw a few ideas on there for you. But at breakfast, really focusing on a protein, a high fiber carb, and a fruit. That's an amazing thing. Joanne is going to share some of her favorite things that she likes to do for breakfast. She's got a really cool smoothie that she blends up that's loaded with a lot of the stuff actually that I have on there. And it tastes good. She's like, oh, it's so good. Like she always says, it seems like she's doing something wrong when she makes it. So we have to know what she's doing in there, right? And then for lunch, having that protein, and I gave you an estimate on that, 3 ounces for women, 5 to 6 ounces for men. 3 ounces is about the size of your fist, which is kind of a good observation, or the inside of your hand. And we'll teach you more about that. And there's some other options on there too. High fiber carb if you need one. I know I do better if I don't have that. So I'm really shooting for more of a protein, vegetable, and a fruit.
I agree with Nikki, for lunchtime especially.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you can ditch that one, go ahead and ditch it.
Yeah.
But just kind of see how it goes. Then at snack time, later on during the day between lunch and supper, that can kind of drag out. And we don't want you to be on your way home and so hungry, or, getting ready that you don't have any wits about you to make your supper, right? We want it to be where you're full. So we also, if you need a snack in the afternoon, have one. And we're talking about a protein and a high fiber carb. So here's some examples of some great snacks. And there's plenty more, but I just wanted to give you kind of a running start here. And then supper, there again is that protein, a high fiber grain or starchy vegetable, or what I like to do is just throw in a whole bunch of roasted veggies. That's kind of my go-to. There's a couple other things, the brown rice, the quinoa, we'll teach you a little bit more about those things too. There's some other ones, and Joanne's got a few other ideas she wants to share with us in that regard. and then getting those vegetables in and that fruit. You see that we're high and heavy on veggies because our goal is not to have you starve. Our goal is to nourish you, and we're fighting disease while we ditch the belly fat. Anything else on there, Joanne, that you want to add that I forgot?
And I would just say in my own personal life, and probably others of you can maybe have experienced this, and that is that as I have focused on nutrient density of my diet and nutrient dense foods, is that I found that I didn't crave sugar and the processed foods as much. So I mean, in fact, and now when I look at a donut, I think about, I see inflammation in my body. I think about belly fat and inflammation. And when I look at that and I think my insulin levels are going up when I eat that. So I have worked myself, and for my own mindset, I look at it now and I go, why, I just think about what that food is doing in my body, and it turns me off to the food. I mean, it just wasn't an overnight process, because I used to love those donuts and all that kind of, I can tell you, I have a tremendous, or used to have a really tremendous craving for sweets and sugars. Just the kind of being on the farm, we had dessert every meal, and I was the baker. So I kind of grew up eating a lot of that. So it was really it was a process in getting weaned off those. But now I don't desire them. I don't really crave that anymore. So I think the idea is, give your body the nutrients and nourish your body and think that way. And that's what we're trying to teach you here. And then, like Nikki said, when you include all these foods, it's going to crowd out the bad stuff, right? Okay, so Nikki.
And, a couple other things. So, in all honesty, I see that donut and I go, oh my gosh, I so am eating that. Like it's hard for me. I'm still at that looks so good, right? But I don't do it very often, right? And I eat the good part, which is just, I'm getting better at taking a couple bites and then I set it down, right? So I still get it, but I'm not like getting so much. But I 100% agree that when you stop eating a lot of sweets, processed carbs, refined products, and just really, I don't know how to describe it, refined products, I guess, and we'll give you more ideas of it. It so helps you with your cravings, and it makes it so that you're not going like this all day long where you're, oh, I'm good. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, this is good. You don't have to do that. Right. We're teaching you how to get rid of a lot of those things. So the other thing I want to address is, in case anybody had, some of you are using some of the Lifevantage products. And if you are, that's fantastic. Obviously not a requirement for the program, but I want to just be able to throw this out here so that we have everybody kind of on the same page with it. If you want to order anything, make sure you just go ahead and get that done. You just talk to whoever added you to the group and it can get shipped right to you. For some of you, you're starting your fat burner today. Best thing to do is take 2 of those pills every morning when you wake up. Just pop them in there and get it done. And then that's working all day long for you to help burn that belly fat and that central weight around your middle.
And Nikki, I'm going to be presenting, okay, let them know too that a little later in the week, I'm going to be presenting on that. There's some great research on that fat burner. So
absolutely.
Presenting some of the research on that later. So watch for that on Biohacking to a Better Life.
Yes, and every week we'll have a different product that we talk about and teach you a little bit more about. Right. And so no worries on that. We'll be educating and continuing to do that as to why we think it's important and why we pick those things. Joanne talked about the Mediterranean diet activating NRF2. Awesome. You'll learn more about why we like this pathway and why it's super important. And in the meantime, you can kind of have your extra security of your Protandim NRF2, and you just take one of those daily with food. I know Joanne and we take ours in the morning or else with our lunch. And then we kind of put a bunch of it all together, but just to get it out of the way. But I want you to start this way so that it's not so much all at once for you. Then there's a probiotic. We're going to talk about gut health later, because there's a huge connection between your brain and your gut and saying, hey, I'm full. I should stop eating. Some people never, ever feel that way. And we want to help make that happen. We also know that this is a huge, huge focus when we're talking about weight management and health. So the probiotics, if you have those, you take a dose of them is 3 a day. And to get started, just take 1 in the morning and 1 at night. That way you're just kind of getting used to it and your body's like, oh, what's going on? What's this, right? And then after a few more days, then go ahead and add another one to either the morning or night. And then as you're on it a while, you can just pop all 3 of them together with your NRF2 if that's easier for you to remember also. So now the prebiotic is going to be the sunshine, the dirt, the food for those probiotics, right? And so the prebiotic is a powder. It comes in a little tub. A daily serving of that is a scoop. However, my suggestion would be to start with a half a scoop, like every other day, just to let your body kind of get adjusted to it. It's super yummy. It's like a blood orange flavor. I love it. You just mix it in with water. And then if you want to, you can work up to a scoop of that a day. We have Axio, which is something that some of you have purchased as well. You can mix that into 16 to 20 ounces of water. We usually drink ours in the morning, or like that after lunchtime, like coming up here soon, where maybe you get a little tired or just kind of not focused or motivated. It's a great thing to be able to add in then. I know I choose mine so that I'm not drinking some other things that maybe I'd prefer to drink. No artificial sweeteners, and only 15 calories. So that's a bonus, and it's just good brain food. And then whey protein, we talked a little bit about. This is the last one. A great thing to be able to throw in that smoothie at breakfast. Sometimes I know I have that as my protein at lunch if I'm in a hurry, and then I just grab a bag of vegetables to be able to eat too. That's a super easy if you're in a pinch. You just take one scoop and put it in a breakfast smoothie. And here's Joanne's little recipe a little bit with her berries, ground flax, some chia seeds. I know she put some cinnamon in there, some yogurt. She's going to tell us a whole bunch of stuff about that. But there's your kind of your start, your running start to be able to go through this. I'll definitely get this posted on Biohacking to a Better Life. And I just want you guys to know that we are so absolutely happy that you're here with us. And we're excited for the journey, and we want feedback. So let us know. And remember to get that waist circumference done so we can check you off and we see where your starting point is and you know how things go.
And we're going to celebrate, right, Nikki? So we're going to have a couple of celebration Zooms, everybody. So this is what you're going to do is you're going to track your waist circumference. You're going to measure, you're measured now, right? And then you're going to measure in a month. And then we're going to have a celebration Zoom. And so I know that many of you are going to probably drop your 2 inches, probably maybe your first month. That'd be great. Or maybe you drop 1. That would be halfway there. So we're going to have a little celebration Zoom at 4 weeks. And so we'll all get on, invite you all to come on, and we'll just kind of celebrate. And then again, of course, at the end, we'll celebrate again at 8 weeks. And I know you all can do this. I know that it's possible and it's feasible for all of you to be able to drop a couple inches off you. And that's going to really improve your overall health. It's going to be amazing.
And how you feel every single day. So that's the other thing is you want to pay attention to how well you sleep, how, you're more apt to exercise, you just feel better, you have more energy, all that stuff. So not just the inches and focusing on the whole thing. And know that when you're eating this way, like Joanne had mentioned, you're fighting disease inside. There's a lot of stuff going on we can't see. And so kudos to you for all taking these steps. And we are 35 minutes into this. We thought we're going to try to shoot these a lot shorter next time, but we had a lot to tell you.
Lots to cover today.
So a lot to tell you. So thanks so much, you guys. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the day.
And have a great day.
We will see you guys all soon.
Yes.
Thanks so much.